Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We'll be reading from verse number 17 of Vaisnava Ke. What kind of devotee are you? Mukam karoti vachalam pankum langhayate girim yat kripatamam bande Shri Gurum Din Tarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hariyam Tatsat. Radha Dasya Rahi Chhadi Bhog Ahi Pratishtha Nahe Kirtan Gaurav Radha Nitya Jana Taha Chhadi Mana Kena Va Nirjan Bhajan Kaitava. My dear mind, now with determination, let us remain eternally in the service of the servant of Srimati Radharani, the spiritual embodiment of the purest love for Krishna. Give up every last trace of attraction to the vicious snake of material desire for sense gratification, subtle or gross. Give up all desires to achieve cheap fame or some position of temporary material importance through chanting the holy names of Krishna. As with these material desires, one cannot realize the transcendental glories of congregational chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna in Sankirtan. My dear mind, completely give up these illusory attachments and totally surrender yourself to the service of Srimati Radharani's eternal devotees. Why shall we leave the transcendental association of confidential devotees to engage in the cheating process of solitary worship, that is the Nirjan Bhajan? Purport. Religious people sometimes feel that they must serve God directly, saying that there is no need to serve a spiritual master. This sentiment, however, indicates an incomplete understanding of the nature of the Supreme Person. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is never alone. He has associates, devotees, friends, and parents who all assist him. And since he is supreme and they are all his servants, they are also in supremely glorious position. In the material world, if we want favors from a political leader, we must curry the favor of those surrounding him. Similarly, achieving the favor of the Lord's dear ones is the easiest way to achieve the favor of the Lord, the perfection of life. There is no one dearer to the Lord than his eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. Radharani is so dear and her love so confidential that greatly learned rishis and munis sometimes hesitate even to mention her name. Her name is so secret and sacred that they fear they might commit an offense to it by using it inappropriately. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukadev Goswami referred to Srimati Radharani not by name but by mentioning that the topmost gopi was best able to worship Lord Krishna. He used the word gopi and the other words which hinted Srimati Radharani. In other Purans, however, her name is directly given as Srimati Radharani, the Ladini Shakti of the Lord. She is the dearmost devotee of the Lord, so naturally those who assist her are accepted as confidential associates of the Lord and recipients of special favor. In this verse, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada implies that participating in the glorious Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is an intimate service to Srimati Radharani, a service she greatly appreciates. There are two states of being for the Jiva. One is to be fixed in Krishna consciousness and engage in the service of Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna, and the other is to be busy with the material enjoyment. In Krishna consciousness, a living being wants to serve the Lord, but in material consciousness, he wants to be served by others and to make the Lord his order supplier. Religious people in the material modes pray to the Lord for daily provisions. Lord, give us this, our daily bread, and for so many other material benefits. They do not realize that serving the senses of the Lord is inconceivably more satisfying than begging the Lord for material boons. Moreover, the Lord automatically takes care of his devotees even without their asking. The Sankirtan movement is so spiritually pure that by remaining in its fire, our consciousness will be refined to immaculate purity. This is the wonderful quality of the Sankirtan movement. Through its association, we gradually become free from all attachments to anarthas or unwanted things, but beyond these attachments remain subtle shades of enviousness which also must be purged, or they will carry the devotee away from the devotional service. These subtle shades of perverse mentality spring from the same enjoying mood from which gross material desires originate. The desire for prominence, for example, such as the impersonalist dream of becoming God, manifests in the character of a devotee who is not completely purified. Hankering after an important position in devotional service or to be the best devotee is a materially tinged emotional state and is described in this song as pratisthasha, great importance. These contaminated desires have no place in the glorious Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the service attitude prevails, everyone tries to increase the Lord's ecstasy and expand the service of the other devotees. This competition is spiritual. It is competition to see who can satisfy the Supreme Lord the most. When a devotee performs his own service, the Lord is undoubtedly pleased, but when that devotee branches out and begins to help others in their devotional service, the Lord is doubly and even triply pleased. The devotee who understands this fundamental truth becomes a servant of the other devotees, following the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who said, Gopir Bhartur Padakamalayur Dasanudasa. I want to be the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna, the master of the gopis. So this was the mood of Mahaprabhu when Lord came as Mahaprabhu, which is in the mood of his topmost devotee, Srimati Radharani. I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of Lord Krishna, the master of the gopis. A devotee should maintain the humble attitude of being a servant of the servant and give up all personal desires for personal enjoyment. The introductory shlokas of the Srimad Bhagavatam state that Bhagavad Dharma, constitutional duty in relationship with the Lord, is the only dharma which is completely free from kaitav, the cheating propensity. Dharma projito kaitavatra Bhagavat Dharma, pure and complete dedication to all energy of the Lord, contains the hint of hypocrisy. No hint of hypocrisy. To consider the Sankirtan movement material is a great mistake. A devotee must have full faith that participants in the Sankirtan movement are directly favored by Sri Sri Radha Madhav and are eternal associates of the Lord and his devotees, Radha Nityajana. By observing the Sankirtan associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can be fully assured of this fact. Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, Gadadhar Pandit, Pundarik, Vidyanidhi are all eternally liberated souls who descend to assist Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Sankirtan movement continues, and those fallen souls who participate become eternally connected with the Lord. The Sankirtan movement is especially dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Radha and Krishna combined. When Sri Krishna accepts the mood of Srimati Radharani, he appears as Sri Chaitanya and engages in Sankirtan. Thus we can understand how dear Sankirtan is to Srimati Radharani and how pure this form of worship is. Sankirtan means complete glorification. The word is derived from the two Sanskrit words. Samyak means complete and Kirtan means glorification. The method by which the Lord is completely glorified and by which people can come into contact with his devotional service is therefore known as Sankirtan. The Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is said to engage everyone in glorifying the Lord. Why do people waste their time glorifying foolish mortals such as cinema stars, tennis players, football players, politicians and so forth, who are ultimately destined to occupy a 6-by-2-foot hole in the ground? Glorification should be reserved for the one who is glorifiable, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Some, of course, will oppose the Sankirtan movement. They will hanker after glory for themselves and resent the glorification of Lord Krishna and his devotees. Krishna's devotees never demand praise, but because they try to glorify Krishna, he enjoys making special arrangements to see that they are properly glorified, and in this way there is spiritual competition. The devotee does not consider himself worthy of praise, but sometimes, because it increases the Sankirtan movement, he may tolerate it. It often happens that, bewildered by desire to prominence in a society of devotees, a devotee will subtly stray off the beaten track. He does not abandon his devotional activities, knowing that such action would be an obvious mistake, but is nonetheless influenced by the illusory desires. His mind tells him these devotees are not qualified, they have so many faults, and they are making many mistakes performing this Sankirtan movement. In this envious mood, he leaves either alone or with a small group of similarly minded people who set up an independent program. His program may be to propagandize, or the new group members may just sit and chant Hare Krishna by themselves. Observers sometimes say, "Oh, he hasn't fallen down, he is still chanting," about such devotees, but in this regard, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that neglecting the association of devotees who are completely dedicated to spreading the glories of Krishna in the mood of his pure devotee, Srimati Radharani and her associates, is nothing but cheating. By nurturing this fault-finding, prominence-seeking mentality, one cheats oneself and ultimately ends up getting cheated by Maya, the illusory material energy. Maya's whole business is to divert the mind from the service of Krishna. If the gross allurements fail, she will employ more subtle ones. Lord Ramchandra's father, King Dashrath, had 3 wives, Kaikeyi, Kaushalya and Sumitra. King Dashrath satisfied these wives by begetting offspring with each one of them. Kaikeyi was the proud mother of Bharat, and Kaushalya was the mother of Lord Ram. Lord Ramchandra was the natural heir to the throne, but a politically motivated person poisoned the mind of Kaikeyi to think that her son Bharat should be crowned king instead. Under Maya's subtle influence, this good, faithful queen became envious and malicious and was responsible for Lord Ram's banishment to the forest for 14 years. In the same way which Maya comes to lure away devotees from the Sankirtan movement, if she cannot attract them by gross allurements, she will turn to subtler ones. But if the devotee is deeply in the mood of preaching and distributing the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the fallen souls, Maya is unable to touch him. He is completely protected by the great liberated souls who are under the shelter of the internal potency of the Lord. Only if a devotee relinquishes that protection by sleeping off the path can Maya touch him. Therefore, just as Ravan assumed the guise of a sannyasi to lure Sita out of the protective circle made by Lakshman, Maya assumes the guise of more advanced consciousness, either Sahajiyasm, Mayavad, or sense of Pratishtha, or great importance, in order to lure the devotee away from the Krishna consciousness. Maya attempts to come out, formulate your own program, or perform solitary bhajan without real knowledge. Many devotees are thus exploited and lured away into various forms of illusion, and once they have lost the association of devotees, they fall from their positions, deprived of their shelter, and many more. More and more implicated in erroneous affairs. They first become implicated in Matsar Vasa envy, and that envy. After that, material desires or Jada Rasa increases, and they start to enjoy the material world, giving up the beautiful nectar of the Sankirtan movement. An aspiring devotee must be careful to avoid these tricks of Maya by remaining active in preaching Krishna consciousness together with the other Vaishnavas and Sankirtan movements of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and as Lord Chaitanya himself instructed, by being as tolerant as a tree and humbler than a straw in the street, devoid of all false prestige and ready to give or offer all respect to others, one can always chant Hare Krishna and remain engaged in the Sankirtan movement. This is the secret known formula that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered the devotees to wear in a locket around their necks. I repeat, Mahaprabhu instructed, by being as tolerant as tree and humbler than straw in the street, devoid of all false prestige, ready to offer respects to others, and one can always chant the Maha Mantra and remain engaged in the Sankirtan movement. When a devotee begins to desire respect for himself or feels uncomfortable seeing another Vaishnava respected, he immediately becomes intolerant and proud, a syndrome that has affected so many devotees. Bhakti Thakur expounded these 19 verses to teach the devotee how to train his mind in the actual mood of devotional service. The aspiring devotee should appreciate the glory of those who have dedicated their lives to the Sankirtan movement and see how they are under the direct shelter of the eternal consort of Krishna, Srimati Radharani. Clinging to these valuable instructions, a devotee should always hanker after the association of those engaged in the Sankirtan movement, and once found, absorb himself in the devotee should always hanker after the association of those engaged in the Sankirtan movement, and once found, absorb himself in that precious association. So we will continue with the reading from verse 18 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.